Hello everyone, I'm Jupy, a long-time Dead by Daylight player, Prestige 100 Xenomorph and Springtrap main, and a Prestige 100 Karnaki main. Now, I need to get something off my chest here. I don't have a nice intro to this or way to segue, so I'm just going to lay it out on the table. Dead by Daylight has a massive community problem. I'm not talking about balanced debates or online discussion, I mean an issue that's much more simple, but also complicated to talk about. How the player base treats one another. Recently, I've seen more and more posts of new players starting to play Dead by Daylight, along with personal examples of friends and siblings getting into the game as well. And the way these players are treated while trying to learn the game is frankly atrocious. Today, Oddstarver reposted a Reddit thread from a new player seeing if they should refund the game because of the way they were treated in their first few hours learning the game. And honestly, it's so disheartening to see that people can be such assholes towards people who are clearly trying to learn the game. I quote, "So friends kept recommending me Dead by Daylight, saying how cool it was, and what ended up convincing me to buy it a few days ago was being able to play as characters I really like, such as the Xenomorph or Dracula. But considering how toxic the people are in the matches that I play, I end up not even having any fun at all. It's not the game's fault, it's 100% a skill issue on my part. I struggle a lot with getting any wins, so it's always stuff like, you are the worst killer I've ever seen, Xeno, you're pathetic, easy win, dumbass, kill yourself, shitty killer, which are all about discouraging me from trying to improve." Think about this situation for a bit. A new player boots up the game hoping to experience getting to play as some of their favourite licenses, or play with/against their friends, only to be met by messages from absolute fucking losers, being pathetic sore winners, flaunting their ego, and a superiority complex because they won their first game in 100 after tanking their MMR by being dog shit. Honestly, I'm just disappointed in the community that this stuff even happens. To clarify on what I'm talking about today though, I want to state, I am not saying one side is more or less toxic than the other. This is a general player base issue. While yes, you may see survivors being more toxic more often, that's usually due to either playing one role more than the other, or just due to the fact that there are 4 times more survivor players than killers, so it's obvious it'll be seen more. Dead by Daylight sits in a weird limbo where it has all the competitive mechanics but no ways to regulate player behaviour. There isn't a traditional scoreboard, clear victory conditions, the game isn't competitive, but the community has made it so by utilising basically anything they can to win. Part of the course for any multiplayer game, I'm not saying Dead by Daylight is different in that regard, a meta will always cultivate. However, the issue with Dead by Daylight isn't the game design itself, it's the behaviour of the player base. While a want to win isn't inherently exclusive to Dead by Daylight, the asymmetrical nature lends itself to the game feeling like you lost to something that's one-sided or only exists on the opposing side. And how can you vent your frustration? In the endgame chat. The endgame chat should, in an ideal world, be a way for players to wish good game, good luck to the other players in the lobby, maybe ask a question about a build or a tech used in the game. Instead, the endgame chat's been turned by the player base into a way to hurl insults at your teammates or the other side for how they played, or just to attack them in general. And the worst bit, the community thinks this is fucking normal, saying shit like, oh, it's part of the game, just hide the chat, as if that excuses the disgusting behaviour people use on it. They're effectively saying that abuse is a part of Dead by Daylight and that you just need to toughen up, instead of admitting that this community is fucked and needs to change. How is that the norm? Completely alienating new players and treating other current players like garbage. The game loses its players every day, not to balance, but to the sheer hostility that's allowed to fester in this community, all because of a fucking chat box. Dead by Daylight's competitive nature is fueled by the player base judging everyone for every little mistake made as well. A new killer isn't aware of how to properly defend gens, ridiculed. Trying to use a meme build and lose, ripped to pieces in chat by sore losers. Unsure how to counter a slugging situation, ridiculed by your other teammates. We created an environment where every small mistake is noticed and judged by the other side, and when you combine that with a game that's already built on pressuring the other side, it lends itself to hostility. This is part of the root cause between such phrases as killer anxiety. You're basically forced to play perfectly at kind of the fear that you're going to get shit-talked for making even a minor mistake, and then even when you do win, you still get shit-talked. The irony of which is that most players who shit-talk in this game aren't even good at the game at all. They just beat a new player or got stomped and have to find a reason why they lost, instead of, I played badly. The amount of players who blame perks, playstyles, or make up scenarios to justify why they lost is frankly insane. It's the reason so much shit gets nerfed or changed because people refuse to change how they play or grow as a player. They'd rather cry at the other side instead of admitting their own fault. Hence why people still want Kaneki nerfed, or cry about Dead Hard and Decisive Strike even after those nerfs. These perks and characters all have clear counterplay, yet people would rather complain about their existence and then understand why they lost. Honestly, I would suggest that the playerbase attempts to behave themselves, and instead of flaming the other side, they offered constructive criticism. Wish the other side a good game well played, a good luck next game, try using your power in this way, instead of the usual go next in real life, uninstall the game, you're garbage. It would solve so many of Dead by Daylight's problems overnight, not by changing literally anything about the game, but just by behaving with basic human decency. But I know for this player base, that's a lost cause now. So my real suggestion is just delete the endgame chat. There is actually zero reason for it to exist. Maybe 1 in 100 games I'll have a positive interaction in it. But in a game of this nature with this imbalance in competitiveness, having a chat system is completely meaningless and only leads itself to toxicity. Console players don't even have this feature anyway, so why should it exist on PC either? Again, yes, you can just press a button to hide it, but that doesn't stop these people from harassing you. Dead by Daylight doesn't give a shit about reports about toxic behavior, and it doesn't help that if someone is anonymous, you can't report them anyway without going outside of the game. Either delete the feature outright, make it so you can't type if you're anonymous, or the other suggestion I've seen floating around, change the chat feature to be a bunch of pre-selected phrases, such as GG or good luck next game, that are buttons you select to message. No typing, you can only pick from specific phrases that DBD deem appropriate. That would honestly fix a large issue of the in-game toxicity. Behavior need to crack down on this toxicity, however. They can't just ignore this as an issue. There need to be stricter repercussions for toxicity in this game. I don't mean strategies in the game like camping, tunneling, flashlight saving. While they may be unfun to face, they alone are not inherently toxic. I mean people going outside the confines of the game to harass players. I have had people come to my YouTube channel or my social media accounts to bitch and cry after I beat them fair and square. Just purely because they can't handle the prospect of someone being better than them. That shouldn't be possible. I've filed these issues in reports with behavior as well, and fuck all was done about them. It's unacceptable for a game of this size. The number of people who chastise people for being anonymous is ridiculous as well. Sometimes I just want to play a game without being personally attacked because I played a killer someone didn't like, or used a perk something someone didn't like. And when I go anonymous, you get these absolute losers going, yeah, if I played like that, I'd be anonymous too. As if seeing my account does anything other than showing that you're a stalking loser who's attempting to cope after I kicked your ass. I'm not saying Dead by Daylight players need to agree or even get along, but there's a difference between being upset at a loss and being a garbage human being. Between frustration and harassment, between criticism and cruelty. Dead by Daylight already is such a difficult game to get into with its terrible MMR system, balancing issues, learning curve, and the gargantuan amount of bugs. The last thing we need is the community itself pushing people away. So maybe next time you lose a game, instead of typing that insult, ask yourself, what does this actually accomplish? Is this actually going to help me? Or is this just going to make this situation worse? Because to put it simply, Dead by Daylight doesn't have to be a toxic game. The only ones making it that way are the players. And as such, we are the only ones who can change this. Thanks so much for watching. I'm sorry about this being a kind of more ranty video today, but I'm just seeing this issue more and more, and honestly, I just needed to be able to vent about it, and to hopefully be able to reach out to people who care. Thanks so much for watching. I'll have another video out soon. In the meantime, I'm Joopy. Have a good night.